Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I am doing good. Once again, Atlas will not be joining us this week because of life.
So the most important news of the week. What are your thoughts on Pecora and Death Stranding 2?
I didn't know about that. That
Yep.
sounds interesting.
I thought it was pretty funny. I was like,
Yeah.
what I thought it was a joke post at first, and then I realized it was from the official account. And I was like, oh, they're not joking. My fault. I guess they still could be.
Yeah. Hololive is very popular, so
True.
why not?
Who knew?
Who could have guessed?
So how are
how's
you
your
this week? Oh, sorry.
How has your week been?
It's been all right. Long, but it's done now. So now I have the weekend to rest up.
That's good. Did you have Monday off?
Yeah. But it was long anyway.
Damn.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was just busy.
Just busy.
Yeah.
Is it final season?
All right, it's end of the year. A lot of things happening. People getting rowdier. You know how it is.
Yeah. As for me, the week did not feel super duper long for me. 4-day week. Not super duper busy. And, we had Summerfest over the last weekend.
True. I heard. How'd it go?
Not too bad. So, as had like kind of shown up on the stream previously, Atlas was occupied during the weekend. So, he's having to take care of his mom right now, and so because of that, he could not attend the BCS. And also, normally when I go down, he usually just hosts me, but he could not do it this time because of aforementioned family stuff. And so, at the last minute, it also turned out he couldn't make it to the actual event because of family stuff. So I ended up taking his place on the team. I teamed up with Adrian, who we've talked about before, one of his teacher friends, and Trevor, one of his other friends. So I should pull up my deck log so that we can do a recap of the weekend. I am very well prepared. But yeah, so I ended up staying at a hotel near the event. Still got Atlas to drive me from the airport, but I didn't want to drag him over the Long Beach and then back to the airport on the Monday when I was going home. So I just took an Uber. But yeah, he drove me from the airport, and then he had already eaten, so I couldn't even buy him dinner to pay for the ride. That was great.
Damn him.
Yeah, I know, right? The hotel wasn't bad. It was like an inn. It was pretty nice. It was like a block away from a Vons, so I could just go and buy like snacks and water if I needed it. And then as for the event itself, I teamed with Adrian, his teacher friend, and one of his other friends, Trevor. So Adrian was on Bob Sagra, Trevor was on Welstra, and I was on, let me put this in another window.
Bob Saga with a slightly different ride deck. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I could do that. Theoretically, I could have played the old one.
Yep.
I played Artisaria. So, I have noticed, last second, I made an addition to the ride deck because I cannot go a single BCS without making some sort of terrible financial decision.
Well,
so I have 4 of them now. Yeah. So I found the one in the ride for the ride line, and I was like, okay, fine, it's the one. Then, as I was going around, I think day 2, the vendors popped up with like, I only saw 1 more, but it turns out that they had 2. So, I ended up with 3, and then towards the end of the day, when I was just doing free fights, like some guy wandered around with his binder and had the 4th copy, and I'm like, I already have the other 3 at this point.
Right.
So yeah, day 1, I bought the 1 just to have in the ride deck, and then, day 2, I ended up with the other 3.
Good job.
I'm so good. And God, frame rate Artisarios are so expensive. This deck is so expensive for how not great it is.
Well, we know why.
Yeah, I know why. But yeah. So I played Artisaria. Our team had gone 4-3 overall, which was tragic because our first two games went really, really well. Then our third game was kind of a bust, and then we started picking it back up again, and then we lost 2 more games in a row.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I'm getting my mouse confused with the cursor on the screen.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
That happens. Yeah. Round 1. We don't need to do a deck profile of the stream. I don't think my deck has changed that much since the last time I did a deck profile. I just added the front sets in. So yeah, round 2 we swept. I don't remember what Adrian played against anymore. I think it was like Favre Neil or something stupid like that. I played against Chronojet, and then I think the guy next to me was playing Night Rose. So, round 1, we swept. I pulled my OT early and just barreled through my opponent. Oh, it was Odium that he played against. So, yeah, Adrian beat out Odium, Trevor Night Rose, and I pulled the OT and just barreled down my opponent with 50k columns every turn because the OT is really strong.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, right. Round 2, I ran into Omar, actually. Guy from UCR.
I know
he's
that
playing
guy.
Eva, so I checked every trigger in the universe against him.
Rude.
Yeah. We swept round 2. Trevor just rushed the shit out of his opponent, and then Adrian had a long grind game where he eventually hit the over trigger to win. Lost round 3. So Trevor played against the Bat. Funny little interaction where, because you can't really talk to your teammates, his opponent mentioned that he was playing 18 orders, and I was like, all right, I know what's happening, and Trevor doesn't.
Oh.
Because as soon as he said, because I saw the ride line and I heard 18 orders, and I'm like, I know what's going to happen. So I already know we're going to be X1 on this particular matchup. So I played against a Levi-Dross player. Minor incident. That was a little unfortunate. While my opponent was shuffling my deck, they tore one of my sleeves. Luckily, I already used the same kind of oversleeves for a lot of my decks, so I could just swap it out really quickly before the game started. But that was a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
I lost that one. My opponent hit crit OT, I think, and then I hit 3 triggers in response to stop the rest of their turn, but that's still a position where I'm at 4 damage really early. No, I think they double crit and then I double crit on damage. So I could stop their follow-up, but then I'm still at 4 damage, right?
Yeah, you did.
And then the turn afterwards, they hit a defensive OT to shut down my turn. I'm like,
well,
yeah. So Adrian won his game, but Trevor got hit with the bat and I got hit with a bunch of triggers. So, nothing that could be done there. Round 4. This is where I didn't pay attention to what the rest of the team was doing. I'm pretty sure they both won their games, but I had to play the Artisaria mirror, which is the worst fucking mirror match in existence.
What makes it bad?
It's just a really slow game. So, Artisaria is already a deck that can't kill very fast. It already has to go to turn 5, sometimes turn 6 to win. So both of us are playing a really slow deck. And because the main thing that the deck does to grind out the game is it uses the order to lock things, we're both trying to dance around each other's front row lock, trying to make tokens and deny it. And then there were several turns where we just mirrored each other's moves. So I ran out of counterblasts, and so he just started damage denying me. Then I got around to my turn, and I damage denied him.
Well.
So we just kind of kept repeating each other's moves and kind of copying each other until finally I checked more triggers than him to win the game. But yeah, that was miserable. It was 8 turns.
Awful.
Of both of us doing almost nothing certain turns.
The deck people signed up to play.
Yeah. I mean, this is not like a meta deck. This wasn't and it wasn't Lyrical Cup either. This was just like, oh, this just happened naturally. I just happened to run into a mirror match that was absolutely awful.
Both of you flip up your fucking starters and just roll your fucking eyes. Like,
yeah,
oh, come on.
Like, there are a lot of decks right now in the current meta where I don't really want to play a mirror match. Like, a Levi-Dross mirror sounds miserable too, trying to keep track of whose Infinity Eyes belongs to who.
Yeah.
But, like, this particular one where because it's a super slow, grindy deck, both of us are just trying to slow roll each other and it takes forever.
It's always funny to me, like, when people talk about, like, not liking mirror matches for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Is like in Magic, I never really minded playing mirrors.
Yeah.
But like I can understand why they would be frustrating sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind playing mirrors even in fighting games. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm playing this character because I think they're fun, so whatever.
Yeah. Like, I think some mirror matches are just like, it comes down to two just draws better. Like a Bob Sagra mirror, for example. I think that just like, assuming both players are of relatively equal skill, probably just comes down to who draws better. But I just think there are a couple of matchups that are really annoying. Like, a Rezile mirror also sounds like it would be really annoying because
that's reasonable.
Both players would be drawing and healing forever. Hi, Ed. I'm recapping Summerfest right now. Look at my Artisaria list. Ooh. There's one more Shout and Shadow down there, just so people don't think I'm only playing 5 orders. So yeah. Round 5. All I said in the group chat was we all checked every trigger in the universe. So I think that one was we just triggered the ever-loving shit out of every. I remember now. So yeah. I think like my opponent that round was already kind of in a bad mood, but like I played against Shoujo Doji, I remember now. He did not find a single Persona ride the entire game and was not making any numbers. On top of that, I also kept checking triggers, like on all of my damage checks. So that one was just, there was no way.
You just wanted it more.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then round 6 was when we went 4-2. So I played against Bob Sagra, got absolutely blasted by them. I also played kind of badly, but that was already a matchup that's hard to win. Adrian won his game, and Trevor got really close against Levi-Dross, but couldn't quite close it out, which was really unfortunate. Damn. And then round 7, we lost again, so that was when we dropped. I think round 7 was like a total sweep, so we all just completely lost.
Damn. It'd be like that.
I think the team that we lost to went on to win the entire tournament.
Oh, well, I mean, GG's.
Yep, GG's. So yeah, we ended the day 4-3, and I believe all of the team losses were also games that I lost, which was very unfortunate.
Damn, you feel like you're at fault here.
Yeah, like on the whole, I like this deck list. I think it did, all the cards I have did what I wanted them to do. This particular card, Lufer, is not very standard in an Artisaria list. I think more people will just opt to run more copies of front set, but I did like it for the extra shield value and power, and it did what I wanted it to in that regard, so I think it worked out all fine. And, 6 orders overall, which I didn't have too many games where I, didn't have orders available, except for my round 7 where I played against Messiah, where that time I did actually I was not able to find a 3rd order, which... I did not play against the team with 2 Levi-Dross, Ed.
Damn.
The team that we lost to was Bob Sagra. Yeah, that round 7 where we lost was Bob Sagra, Messiah, and Levi-Dross. So yeah. That was day 1. After that, I went into Free Fight, where I proceeded to also lose every game that I played. But,
well,
I think at that point I had already given up and just started playing my casual deck. So I was playing Vice Ruger and Hound Razor. So I don't remember what I played against in Free Fight. I know with Hound Razor I played against Prison, where I just couldn't deal with the grade 4. And then I forgot the other things I played for Free Fight, but I did lose them all.
Damn.
Yeah. So day 2, going back to deck log, went into Premium. I played the same Nova Grappler list that I was playing last time I played Premium, which I think the only change is I swapped out some cards for the grade 1 because I needed more. Last time I didn't have enough restanders, so I added more. So yeah, this is my Nova Grappler list. I ended up only playing 2 rounds, partially because I didn't like Premium, but also because my game 1 for Premium was like one of the worst games of Vanguard I have played. I don't know how it happens, but every time I play Premium, it is like the worst game of Vanguard I've ever experienced. Like, it happens every time. I think I'm cursed. Like, always, there's at least one game where I get grade stuck for no reason.
Yeah,
I mean,
Premium just sucks, clearly.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, I'm only playing 6th grade 3, so it's going to happen sometimes, but it's just really annoying where it's like, somehow, some way, every time I play Premium, I will find a way to be grade stuck. And I will even miss attempts to get myself unstuck because... So I played against Chaos Breaker, lost the die roll, and I was going second. So immediately I used Spiral Breaker to try and find a better grade 1 because I think the only one I had in my hand was Jirohawk at the time. So I found Arashid, checked my top 5 for a grade 3 because I didn't have one in my opening hand. Did not find it. So, I tried to fix my hand. It didn't work. And then I think I tried again and then found the other Arashi, the old one that's the stride fodder, which would have been fine if I had a grade 3 in my hand to fix my ride, but I did not have that. So, my opponent's doing their thing, and because it's Chaos Breaker, on their grade 3 turn, they can call something to the field locked with one of their cards. And then it comes around to my turn, and I draw for turn the grade 3 heal, so I cannot G-assist. And so, I'm sitting there like, I have gone second. I have a locked card on the field. I cannot afford to stall, right? Like, if I stall now, my opponent's just going to stride and kill me. So I just have to ride the grade 3 heal. And then I had the crit stride fodder in my hand. So I strode into Winning Champ because that was the only victor name that vaguely did anything, and I needed it to make my cards work.
25k.
Yeah, like 25k, and all it does is like when something stands, it gets 5k, but I only have one column because the other one's locked. So it's just like, okay, I restand one guy, he gets like 5k. So I had a dough sledge, so it's like, okay, so I swing for like 16, it restands 26, and that's my entire turn. It was very sad. And then the turn afterwards, I had to make the most desperate angle shoot of my life. So I had 2 lock cards on the field, and I was just and my opponent only had 1 soul. So I unlocked one of my cards, which was Dough Sledge, hoping that they would just use the effect to retire it and blow their last soul so I could get a restander out. So the other locked card was Spiral Breaker. Thankfully, they fell for it, and I had to stride into this fucking thing. This card that nobody ever uses.
I don't think I've seen this card before.
Nope. The not Narukami stride. So yeah, I strode into this, and I was just making a desperate angle shoot that they would retire not the thing that restands something so that I could activate his ability. So what this card says is, when your rearguard stands by a card ability, you counterblast 1, discard 2, stand it, and then if it's your main phase, you attack your opponent's vanguard, and after it attacks, it loses a drive. So my hand was the 1 Spiral Breaker plus 4 triggers. So I just dumped all of the triggers onto the board. Like, Spiral Breaker is barely able to hit, and I'm just desperately hoping I check some triggers to, like, maybe be able to do something. It didn't work. I lost.
Be like that. That sucks, though.
Yeah. And then,
maybe premium just sucks. Have we considered
it? I mean, the fucking winner of Premium was a fucking loop. I don't even know what the Ezel loop is. I just know that it exists and it topped the event.
Incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, game 2, I opened a lot better. My hand was still bad. I opened the wrong Victor, but this time I was able to Spiral Breaker into an Arashid that found the correct Victor. So I went first. I strode early. I called an entire field on 2 Excel circles. First time around, I made a bunch of attacks that were kind of big. Then the second term, I got out Sazanda with Bustard and killed my opponent. And after that, I was like, okay, I had one horribly disastrous game that I lost, one kind of okay game where I won. I'm going to quit and play side events now. So yeah, I quit to play side events after I got my salty run back, and then proceeded to lose every single game I played after that. Pretty good.
Smokes.
So for side events, my round 1 opponent didn't show up because I think they just didn't know that it started yet. It was kind of abrupt. They didn't announce that they had put up the pairings over the PA. So that was like a free win. Then round 2, I played against Dayusha. I was playing Vaisruger again just because, I'm just chilling now, playing casualies. It was actually like a really close game. I was very close to having it. I played against Dayusha. Unfortunately, because Dayusha has a card that says you can't intercept, and half of Vaisruger's defense is intercepting, I ended up losing that. So after that, hung around, waited for wave 2 to start. I decided, all right, I'm just going to play Bobsagra because I would like to win the promo card. It is very funny looking. I then proceeded to brick horribly, did not see a single trigger the entire game. I saw like 3 total and I drew all of them. And so I was 5k off of defending my opponent's turn. Did not hit a defensive trigger, couldn't intercept because it was another Dayusha.
Of course.
Dayusha is now on my list of enemies next to Reziel.
No. You can't hate Dayusha.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I was 5k off guarding my opponent's attack because I did not have any triggers the entire game. So that was a real auspicious end to wave 2 of the side event. And then for wave 3, round 1, I played against Blangdmeyer. Had a similar issue to my game 2, where I didn't see all that many triggers. At least like a couple of them showed up, but I think overall I just did not see all that many, so ended up losing that one. But I guess my opponent was leaving because they just gave me the round. Maybe I was complaining too much too. I was a little salty at that point because I have lost the vast majority of games I had been playing at that point.
Right.
This time I switched back to Artasaria for the final one because I like that deck and I might as well. I've already failed with everything else I played. And then round 2, I played against Reziel, where I get to have my Reziel PTSD of my opponent healing at the right time. Like half the time my opponent uses the divine skill, it doesn't work. And of course, the one time I actually need it to not work, they get it.
Yep. That's how it is.
Yeah. And unfortunately, my opponent actually did know the Artasaria matchup and so kept their board clear, so I couldn't lock them ever. That happens. So yeah, that was kind of the end to my Summerfest experience, was going like 1-6 in the entire day.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Like, other than that, I bought an Artasaria playmat because of course I did. I bought my like frame rares, which I'm pretty happy about. Made some trades because I ran into a bunch of people from my locals. So yeah, like overall, had a pretty good time at Summerfest. After that, there was a California pizza kitchen across the street from the convention center, so I went and bought a pizza and I went home. To the hotel.
Right.
And then, Monday flew home, took a nap, and then back to work. So yeah, that was my Summerfest experience. I had a really good time. I enjoyed myself despite the terrible ass games I was having. But I hadn't gotten to play Vanguard in the last couple of weeks before the Summerfest because it was Mother's Day, and then the week after that it was Beta Breakers, which is an event in San Francisco where It's like a big marathon. People all get dressed up in costumes, and importantly, they close a bunch of roads for it. So I was like, I didn't want to deal with the traffic. So yeah, got to play Vanguard again because I hadn't in a little while. Had a lot of fun despite losing a whole bunch. It was a good time.
Nice. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
Sorry that it ended up that way.
Yeah, I know. It was very unfortunate. Oh well. At least I got the promo for participating. It would have just been nice if it was the cool foiled version.
Yeah.
Alright. And so let's do the other thing we always do on stream, which is new cards. I don't know if I want to read all of the Bravern cards. These cards were like kind of difficult to parse when I was looking at them. And we don't know if we'll get them in English, but we might as well try.
All right, I guess.
All right. Oh, there's so fucking many of them. I don't know where to start with these because they're all out of order, too. All right. So there's Showdown Brave Knights. It's a token set order. So if you have a Vanguard Brave Burn, all of your unit with Titano Stride get shield plus 5,000. And yes, Ed, the participation prize is the Gab Punch, and then, the winner prize is just the foiled version. It is a very nice looking energy, though. Doesn't look that great on screen, but once you see it in person, it's actually quite nice. Anyways, the base text for Titano Stride is TS, and then has quotation marks like the Forte that Morphonica... Whatever. And then if your opponent's grade 2 or greater, Energy Blast 3, choose a Titano Stride from drop zone, call it to your rearguard circle. And then I think this is like a different grade 3 thing. So we have Death Drives Verm Vita. You can only have one of them in your deck. When your damage checks reveal a card other than the heal or the over trigger, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Death Drives and 5 damage, you can ride this card. For the fight, the damage you lose becomes 7. And then if you still have damage, perform damage checks. And then when attacked, Counterblast 1, retire all rear guards. Just all of them. And it's a grade 4.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to read it one more time.
Okay.
Oh, in your drop, I see.
Yeah, from your drop. So my understanding is like once you take your 6 damage, you ride it from the drop zone, and you now get to have 7 damage.
Wow.
And then we have Hero of the Future Lulu. Yeah. Also, I haven't watched the Bravern anime, so admittedly, I don't know how thematically this all works. Sorry about that. It's on my bucket list, but you all know what happens with anime bucket lists. They sit there and rot for 5 years until finally one of your friends asks you to watch it, and you finally cross one thing off your list. So once discarded from your hand during your turn, you counterblast 1. Search your deck for an allied task force, reveal it, add to your hand, shuffle. If your Vanguard has Superbia in its name, rest it. Choose one of your rear guards, it gets 5k. If you chose a rear guard with Superbia in the same column, stand it. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater this turn, when you would choose your opponent's rear guard by the auto ability of Soul Shaking, Clashing, Crossing, choose 2 rear guards instead of 1. Why is this so far out of order? Superbia, it's the grade 3. So if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and you have Lulu in your soul, it gets 5k, active during your opponent's turn. When it attacks, perform all of the following. Put a Brave Explosion, Brave Burn card with Lulu from rear guard into soul. It gets 5k and a drive. Counterblast 1, stand a column with the, Brave Burn rear guards. And then you have the grade 2 Superbia. When riding on top of, I assume, the grade 1, put 1 organic life form Lulu from hand or rear guard into your soul. Search your deck for the future hero, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. And then you put the whatever set order into your order zone. Is that the first one we read? No, it's not. Okay. Oh, God. And then Lulu is the starter. And then the grade 1 Superbia, when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, reveal the grade 3 Superbia, choose the grade 0 from Soul, put it into your hand, Soul Charge 1. It can't be boosted.
Okay.
Okay, so the Caetano Stride. If you have Bravern as your Vanguard, it gets all of the following. When it's moved to the guard circle, you can simultaneously take a grade 1, who I assume is the pilot for this thing in the anime, move it to the guard circle as well. When it's boosted by a unit with Brave Knight and attacks a grade 3 or greater, it gets 5k. If the boosted unit is pilot, Soul Charge 1. And they all kind of follow the same thing, where like they have the ability to like move their pilot along with them, and when they're boosted by the Brave Knight's archetype, it gets power, and then if it's boosted by the specific pilot, your opponent can't intercept, and they cannot call, and this one has no intercepts and a battle door. Got it. Oh, it was all the pilots that have the same abilities. So the same thing when it when you would guard with it, you can move the pilot to the guard circle as well. When it's boosted, it gets 5k, and if it's boosted by the pilot, it cannot be retired by your opponent's card effects and gets 5k shield until the end of your opponent's turn. So we have Rekka, Akira Casta. So when you would move it to the guard circle, you move the pilot. When it's boosted, it gets 5k, and then if it's the pilot, stand all of your rear guards in the same column as it, and until end of turn, it gets it can't attack the Vanguard, but it can also attack your opponent's back row units. And then the top secret Rising Orthos. So same thing, move to the guard circle along with its pilot. When it's boosted by Brave Knights in the same column, gets 5k. And then if it's boosted by the pilot and your Vanguard is beyond the explosion of Brave Courage, God, I'm not reading all of that. At the end of the battle, by retiring all rear guards in the same column, search your deck or drop for a Braver and call it to rear guard circle. It gets plus 10,000 power, and if you search it from your deck, shuffle your deck. So, Lewis, if you have a rear guard with the same name as this card, this cannot be called to rear guard circle. When you have the Rising Orthos placed, you can Soul Blast 1. Call it from the drop zone. And then in the back row, when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard attacks, if you have Bravern with Isami, Ao, or Lulu in card name and a soul, that he gets 5k. And I think they all just follow the same template, except for the power effect.
Weird.
So, yeah. And then Isami is the starter, and then Soul, if you have a Vanguard with Braver in its name, it cannot leave the Soul, so they fixed the problem with, what's it called? Oh shoot, what was that? Avant-Garde, where sometimes you can randomly lose the pilot against something like Prison, and then Avant-Garde stops working for the rest of the game. So yeah, this card says you do not auto-lose to Prison. So grade 1 is when it's rolled upon by Braver, and you can reveal the grade 3 Braver, form up Brave Knights token into your order zone. That was the first thing we read. And then Braver himself, he has the D-Legion ability, so you can either D-Legion with Superbia or Die Kaiser.
Sure.
So, the D-Legion is like, you shuffle 4 cards back, so 2 triggers, 2 non-triggers. You can't do the heal or the ogre. And then while you are in D-Legion, you lose the ability to Persona Ride. At the end of the battle, this unit attacks. If it is in D-Legion and your soul has Isami in it, you can Counter Blast 1, discard 1, stand it. It gets power plus 10,000 and drive -1 until end of turn. So it is almost Dayusha. Dayusha loses all of its drives. This one just kind of keeps one. The grade 2 Bravern is when it's Rototon by the grade 3. Search your deck or drop for 1 Courageous Combination Bang Dragon. Call it to rearguard center. And if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. And let's just go find that grade 1 now. So if your Vanguard is exactly 1, so basically if it's not in Legion, the grade 3 Bravern, you can put it into your soul, search your deck, hand, or face-up damage zone for 1 Explosive Courage Bang Braver and ride it as stand. If you search your deck, shuffle your deck. If you choose from your damage zone, put the top card of your deck into the damage zone. So Explosive Courage Bang Bravern is when it's placed by the ability of the grade 1. It gets 5k and an extra drive until end of turn. At the end of the turn, you choose the original grade 3 Braver and write it as Resk, and then choose the Bang Dragon from Solar Drop, call it to the back row center. What if Dayusha, but canonically gay? So basically, this combo of plays is the if you have to go first, do this play, because, you know, you can't Legion with Bravern until both players are at grade 3. So if you're going first and your opponent is still at grade 2, you ride this guy who is 18k with a drive, which is not very much, to be perfectly honest, but it's more than the nothing that you do if you can't Legion. Does that make sense?
I get it.
Yep. Okay, next we have the Twin Champion Death Drive Superbia. So this is Superbia as a good guy. So when it attacks, if you have Form Up Brave Knights or Soul Inspiring Sword Fight in your order zone, counterblast 1, draw a card. If your opponent's grade 3 or greater, all of your front row units gets 5k, active on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle. So you can use this if you Legion with the Bravern. And then at the start of your ride phase, if it's in D-Legion, you can search your deck or drop zone for one Beyond the Explosion of Courage, Burn, Brave, Big Burn, ride it, stand, and then if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. So all of that is a grade 4. So it cannot be ridden except by the ability of Superbia. So when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, it gets all of the following effects, and at the end of the turn, you choose the grade 3 Bravern from your soul, ride it as Rest. So all of your units get power plus 10,000. At the end of the battle attacks, if you have Isami in your soul, counterblast 1, stand it, and it gets drive -2. When it stands by the ability of your card, you can discard a card and get power plus 10,000. So it has the line of text that all grade 4s have, which says replace Persona Ride, and then you can discard a card to give it another 10k for the turn. So it's basically just the grade 3 Bravern, but bigger. You know, now because it's a grade 4, you get triple drive, so you do 3 drives, then 1 drive.
Seems neat.
Yeah. So it seems like the thing is you Legion with the Superbia, then at the start of your next turn, you go into the big grade 4, which is like, you know, based on the fact that it's gold, I assume this is just the big final form in the anime. So you go into your final form and blast your opponent, and then if that doesn't kill them, you just Legion again. And then if the game is somehow still going after that, you just go into the final form again. So yeah, that was a whole lot of stuff. Not all of it made sense, honestly. It took me a few tries to, like, parse what this deck is supposed to be doing when I first read them. And I feel like I would appreciate some of these more if I actually watch the Bravern anime, which I will do eventually. But yeah, all of this looks really cool. Oh, also, we got Legion art with Bravern and Dayusha.
Neat. Oh,
Yeah.
it's not, it's one half of it is the, oh, I see. So they took the Dayusha handshake, but they left out Daikaiser. Or no.
It's Daikaiser and Bravern.
Yeah, okay. So they left out Dayusha.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, also, you know, there's technically 2 different decks here because the Superbia is like its own thing, but then there's also the Bravern, which has like 3 different forms. So it took me a while to kind of parse like what was happening with all the Braverns. And then there's the fact that you can technically Legion with Daikaiser, but I don't think you're ever going to do that because Daikaiser is kind of butt.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's go read some bad cards. So the Thursday stream from that week, we got Ezel. So first we got Inflame Lion. Auto rearguard circle in the back row during your battle phase. When your unit is placed on the same column as this unit, if you only have a Vanguard with 1 clan, Energy Blast 2 to stand it. And at the end of your turn, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Ezel, and you have placed a unit from your deck onto the field, you can put it into your soul. Next, we have Slash Feather Dragon. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Ezel, it gets all of the following. When it's placed on Rearguard Circle, Counterblast 1, you can either draw a card or choose Incandescent Blonde Ezel and increase or decrease its drive to 2 until end of turn. So, and then when it attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, you can have it get 5,000. If you do, bottom deck it, and then you can Energy Blast 3 to draw a card. This card is crazy, so the gimmick that Ezel has is that the ride line lets you ride up early, and your opponent does not have to be a grade 2 for you to do it, unlike Dayusha. So, like, if you're going first and your opponent's on grade 1, you can skip grade 2 to go into Ezel, and then you can play down this thing to counterblast 1, and your Ezel goes from having 1 drive back to 2. So you can just, like, twin drive on your opponent while they're at grade 1.
Pretty good.
Yep. And then, of course, being able to, like, gain power and bottom deck itself is pretty impressive. And, like, the Energy Blast 3 to draw a card is nice because it means you just kind of refund the investment from, like, putting it onto the field. All right. Then we have Blazing Lion, Platina Ezel. So if you have the original Ezel in your soul, it gets all of its abilities and power plus 2,000 active on both turns. So it becomes 15k. So the original Ezel, I believe it was like, if you have 3 or less rear guards, you can Soul Blast 1 to look at the top 3 and call something. I'm just going to go look up the original Ezel real quick. I feel like I would make my life easier. No, that's Platina Ezel. Blonde Ezel. So, yeah. If you have 3 or less units, so 2 rear guards, Soul Blast 1, look at the top 3 cards, call a card to open Rearguard Circle, bottom deck the rest, and then when it attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, you counterblast 1, look at the top 7, choose 2 grade 3 or less, call them to open Rearguard Circle, and then Ezel himself gets 10,000, so you just copy that. And then Act, you can counterblast 1 or put a grade 3 or greater Ezel from Rearguard Circle into your soul. Choose the order from your drop zone, add it to your hand, and during your turn, this unit gets power plus 5,000. And then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, perform all of the following. All of your front row rear guards get power plus 5,000 continuous. And then if you're at limit break, it also gets a crit. So what's up? You're looking
at sorry, I'm just reading it again.
Yeah, you're looking at it very intensely.
My fault.
Yeah, so basically you copy the original Ezel, which was just like, look at top 7, call 2, and then he gets 10k. Then you can counterblast 1 or bottom deck a grade 3 greater card with Ezel from Rearguard, or put a grade 3 Ezel from Rearguard Circle into your soul to search out the order that Ezel has, and then he gets 5,000 power, so it would be like 15k overall when you use Ezel's effect. And then if your opponent's at grade 3, you perform all of the following. Your front row gets 5k, and then if you're at limit break, he gets a crit.
Jeez.
So
that's a lot of abilities.
Yeah. This, like, looks really good on paper. However, there is one thing about this card that is conspicuously missing from all of the other cross rides. Is that he... Or actually, it's not missing from the other cross rides. It's just the same as all the other cross rides, which is that he does not copy the name of Blonde Ezel. So the way they have resolved this previously is that you don't actually want to be cross riding, right? Like Glory, Maelstrom, and Vermilion also copy the ability of the original, but they all have gimmicks that let you put the original into your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, like, you can put the Ezel into your soul with this ability, but I'm not sure you want to be no, you can't be playing this in the ride deck because the grade 2 bow mains only lets you ride Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel. So, like, if you play this one in the ride deck, then your ride deck doesn't do anything anymore. So, like, you have to... So, if you're still playing the original bow mains and doing the thing that Ezel is supposed to be doing, which is grade skipping, because the grade 2 just immediately lets you skip to grade 3, you cannot be playing this in the ride deck. So, in order to use this card, you have to actually cross-ride, which is fine if you're going first, because that would just kind of take the place of what would normally be your grade 3 turn. You don't mind missing the Persona ride. But sometimes you have to go second, and if you go second, that means you get to skip. You skip from grade 2 to grade 3, and then on your opponent's turn, they also ride up to grade 3, except now, if you're playing Platina Ezel, you don't have the ability to Persona Ride, because it doesn't copy the name of the original Ezel.
Right.
So, the consensus from all the Gold Paladin players I've seen is that this card is poo-poo garbage, and the only thing that's really worth looking at is Slash Feather Dragon, because it gives you an extra drive from... or it gives you the drive back if you ride up early. So it makes like the ride up actually feel not terrible. But so yeah, that is Ezel. One really good card, one kind of mid card, and then the consensus on Platina seems to be that it's really bad. After that, I think we got the new Minerva. So yes, I'm sorry, I'm keeping you here. There's still more new cards to do.
Crap, there's so many.
It's because we didn't stream last week, so we didn't read all the Bravern cards back then.
Oh,
so, Knowledgeable Eagle. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted. If you have a Vanguard with only one clan, you can put it into Soul when it's Soul Blast by a card's ability. If you have a Vanguard with only one clan, Soul Charge 1. We have Magic of Magical Clarity. That's a little redundant. Bibine. So, if it's a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard that's only Genesis, this card is a Genesis. And then, if you're grade 3 or greater card with Minerva in this card name, you can play it with Energy Blast 3 instead. So, when it's placed on Radar Circle from your hand, if you have a Vanguard that's only Genesis, Counterblast 1, draw a card, choose a card from your drop zone, put it into your soul. When you're grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Minerva attacks, if your Vanguard did not stand by card ability this turn, Counterblast 1 stand this unit, and it gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. And then we have the new Minerva, which is a grade 4. So it cannot be ridden except by its own ability, and if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, it gets all of the following effects. During your turn, all of your front row units get power plus 10,000, the obligatory replace Persona Ride effect. Cost, you can bind the original Minerva from Vanguard Circle and put a card from your hand into your soul. Ride this card to stand from the soul. If you put a card with Genesis only for its clan into your soul for the cost, and you did not ride during the ride phase, it gets continuous. All of your front row units get power plus 5,000. At the end of this turn, retire this unit, ride the card bound for cost as rest. And then on attack, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3, stand this unit and it gets drive -2. So this is like mostly the same as the grade 3 Minerva. The key differences are, obviously being a grade 4 means you get triple drive innately, and then when it gets drive -2, so you go from like 3 to 1 drive, which gives you +1 drive overall. And the original Minerva had to discard for his restand, this one doesn't, so you are just kind of plussing more overall. The cost of putting a card from hand into your soul to ride it from the soul kind of just replaces the cost of rewriting for Persona Ride, so like overall, like the net gain would be 1 card over just Persona riding the original Minerva. And theoretically, nothing is stopping you from just Persona riding the original Minerva anyways, and then rewriting into this, because the only thing you lose by riding during the ride phase of your turn is you don't get the front row plus 5,000. But like if you Persona Ride, you're getting 20k overall instead of just the 15 you would have with this ability. So like you're still kind of up on power. So yeah. I think the new Minerva looks pretty strong. It's a very minor change from the old one, but I think those minor changes are good enough to make the deck like decently viable. It is still a deck that just has a restanding Vanguard and a bunch of ways to get additional attacks. Like the grade 2 from the ride line can pop itself out if it's been Soul Blast, and they just got a new restander as well. So, like, if you're willing to spare the counterblast, this deck can theoretically just make 6 attacks. And so, after that, I'm just going to skip kind of the, like, double Rs. We'll do that for the set review. Next week, we're probably doing a set review, by the way. I'm sorry, Matt.
No! Alright.
Alright. So we have the new triple Rs, which are all just retrains of double Rs from set 1. So when it boosts the Vanguard of your opponent's grade 3 or greater, it gets 5k. When the attack and boost it hits, retire it to countercharge 1. And then at the end of the battle it boosted, you can counterblast 1 and retire itself. Search your deck for one card with the same name as your Vanguard, reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So you might notice that this ability is the same as Tensha Stead, a grade 1 double R from set 1. And so they just kind of combined it with Dragon Monk Gojo, which had the on-hit countercharge 1, which is very funny that this is where they've gone for the generic triple Rs. Is what if we took 2 old cards and just smashed them together into one new card? Oh, and it says power plus 5,000 on it too. And then we have Direful Doll Finley. So on play, you soul charge 1. Then you can Soul Blast 3 to draw a card. And if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, it gets power plus 5,000. Then in the soul, you can bind it to soul charge 2. So this is Gungarum combined with that one pony that can remove itself from the soul to soul charge 2. And it's also a Direful Doll, so randomly this is actually playable in that deck. It binds itself, so you can like cycle it for guarding, and then like the Soul Blast 3 to draw a card is not terrible in the wake of like what Direful Doll is generally capable of doing. The only problem with this is like Direful Doll doesn't get a whole lot of blind soul charging. Sometimes you just end up soul charging a trigger, which is unfortunate.
Right.
But yeah. So this was like an interesting direction for the grade 3 triple or the new triple Rs in this set. Is just what if we smash together an old double R with another common card? This also has me very concerned because the double R from set 1 for Keter Sanctuary was Painkiller Angel, and Rezael only just became unplayable with the loss of Sergalon. And so I am very scared of the possibility that Rezael has access to a stronger Painkiller Angel in the future.
Well, that's somebody's problem.
It's my problem because I don't want Rezael to be playable. Anyways, that wraps up everything I had planned for today. Where can we find you on the social medias?
There.
You can find him at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Zs. You can find Atlas at Atlas Novak. He also has the Epileptic Comic on YouTube, I think. You can find us at Nexus at Night. You can find me at Plasma Eclipse or Beerus Rudicus. It kind of depends where you're looking. If it's Blue Sky, it's Beerus Rudicus. If it's Twitter, I'm still using that worthless hell site, despite the fact that it gets worse and worse every day. Look, if the rest of Vanguard Twitter would move to Blue Sky consistently, I would be there all the time.
Right.
But yeah, find me, Beerus Rudicus or Plasma Eclipse. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye. End stream.